Welcome ladies and gentlemen, my name is Targran and I'm here to talk about the lore of League of Legends. In this episode, we're going to start back where it all started. A lot of time has passed since episode 1. Enjoy. Valoran, a continent on the world of Runeterra. It is home to the great organization that people know as the League of Legends. Until recently, however, it was in grave danger. Ever since the people started gathering together as tribes, conflicts had happened between them. One tribe could not stand the views of another, and they decided to start a war. Many people have died, just to prove who was right. As time passed, the world has changed. Tribes have evolved into nations, small villages into powerful cities, and simple watchtowers have turned into keeps, filled with weapons of all sorts. But the war never changed. Magic was always the weapon of choice for every side which could use it, a powerful force that could not only be unleashed directly upon their enemies, but also to enchant equipment of their own troops, making them more likely to survive a battle. The reckless use of magic has slowly led to the corruption of the land. Its fragile balance has been broken, and with every great conflict, now known as the Rune Wars, Runeterra had been changing. At first, changes had not been visible and ignored by most, even the powerful mages. Summoners chose not to think about it. As the conflicts continued, however, Valoran began visibly changing. Violent earthquakes, storms of wild energy, unpredictable weather. Life on Valoran became difficult, almost impossible for many. In response to those events, magicians of the continent have gathered to study the current state of Runeterra. After weeks of research and studies, they decided that conflicts had to be stopped, as another Rune War could literally split Valoran in half. At first they meant to force city-states of Valoran to stop the wars, but it was clear this plan would not succeed. No matter how hard they would try, it was impossible to achieve, not even with the help of magic. Another solution had been created in response. Since the conflicts could not be stopped, summoners had been forced to find another way of resolving them. An organization was created to oversee the orderly resolution of political conflicts, the League of Legends as they called it. It would allow the city-states to resolve their conflicts by battles on magically created arenas, known as the Fields of Justice. Teams of 5, chosen from representatives of the city-state or any other nation that supported its ideas, were to face against one another in battles to destroy the enemy's nexus and prove their power. It was clear that not every city-state would agree to those rules at first, but it was not important. The highest priority was to get the two biggest forces on the continent to agree for the rules set by the League. Demacia, the radiant example of justice and good, and the dire power-hungry city-state of Noxus. Demacia is a human city-state on the western coast of Valoran. It shines as a bright paragon of virtue amongst all other city-states. Its people driven by the common goal of spreading justice across the Valoran through all the city-states on the continent. They are tough, unforgiving people who consider the malice and selfishness as a terrible disease that should be purged from the face of the world. Demacia is ruled by a monarch who is supported by a council of nobles. He's not only a political leader and a public speaker, there are many other duties that the king has. He is a head of military, often leading the armies himself in person. He's also meant to be an example for every single one of his citizens, and his every move is harshly judged. Life for the nobles is not easy either. In many other city-states they would be accepted as they are, because a job of a nobleman is to stay a nobleman. Demacians understand this sentence differently though. A job of a nobleman is to be an example to those underneath himself. He's meant to be a teacher to them all. There are many laws in Demacia that are much harsher than for anyone else. With strict mindset common amongst the citizens of Demacia, it does not come as a surprise that the Demacian military is one of the best, if not the best disciplined military force that the Valoran has ever seen. For the longest time, it used to be the only force capable of stopping the armies of Noxus on their march of destruction. For the people of Demacia, serving in the military is a great honour, and every citizen has to serve in the military at least 3 years. Many of them decide to stay longer, perfecting their own mind and body, being taught how to oppose one's fears. A true soldier of Demacia can never flee, surrender, or make excuse. He's always ready to fight for great justice. Despite what Demacians think about themselves, life in the city-state is no utopia. It's a tough place where draconian measures are taken to make sure everyone lives by the moral code of their city-state. Crime is punished harshly yet fairly. There's no place for weakness or regret. Every citizen of Demacia is proud of his land, willing to give their life away for their nation and their king, Jarvan III. Noxus is in many ways a moral antithesis of Demacia. Those who are strong physically or mentally are to acquire strength by any means, regardless of the consequences. Nobody cares for the weak. If you cannot take care of yourself, no one will do it for you. You can fight to make your way into a better life, or just accept your current place and die as the trash that you are in the mind of Noxians. The city-state strongly supports the thought that only the strong can survive. Benevolence and compassion are signs of weakness that no one should ever show, since there's no reason to waste your time. There is only strength, and it's the only measure that you will be judged with. Prove yourself strong and useful, and you might be accepted as part of the Noxian society. Even though most of Noxians are decidedly xenophobic and will not simply accept non-humans amongst themselves, there are exceptions. Due to the cult of strength, there are known cases of non-human creatures that are proven to be useful enough, or just feared enough, to be accepted into Noxus. Noxus used to be a monarchy, but its king had been slain and succeeded by the Noxian High Command, a political organization that serves not only as the ruling body, but also head of the military forces. There's no separation between those two. For countless years, its eternally young leader, General Borim Dakwil, had ruled Noxus. When he had exceeded his average lifespan, rumours started to spread that he was in fact kept alive by the use of necromantic powers. That was not important, however. His hunger for power and conquest had driven Noxus to be a dangerous threat to every nation surrounding it, and that position was beneficial for the future of the city-state. The Grand General was assassinated in the recent years. The power struggle between different generals was long and difficult. Fights between supporters of the generals had broken out. In the end, however, the mysterious political figure of Jericho Swain had seized control of the High Command with the help of his close ally, General Darius. Nobody is sure what change that might bring, but they're not worried about the well-being of the city-state itself. The city of Noxus is just like its inhabitants, dark and sinister, built into a granite mountain partially hidden underground. It is surrounded by a moat carved in the tough stone and filled with numerous chemical brews and liquids. The main section of the city is surrounded by slums made of poor houses built by those who are too weak or too poor to support their life within the walls of Noxus. The government provides no support for those less fortunate. And yet, like every single citizen of the city-state, they're required to serve in the military for at least 6 years, after which they are still considered to be active reservists until old age. Any of the Noxian citizens can be called to arms at will, whenever the High Command considers it necessary. There are many benefits to being in active service in the military, however, and it is not uncommon for citizens of Noxus to serve at least 10 to 15 years in the army. It always needs more men, even now, in this time of relative peace. And that will be all we prepared for you this time around. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Even if you knew all these things before, you can let us know what you think in the comments section below this video. You can also help out by pressing the like button and adding this video to your favourites. It really helps us out a lot. Regular content will be resuming according to our usual schedule from now on, and as always, I'll see you next time.